Women taking photos of themselves without headscarves face 10-year prison sentence in Iran. Scores of women have been arrested for removing hijabs as part of White Wednesday's campaign.
Here's a summary of the article.
Iranian women who post photos of themselves online without their headscarves on could face up to 10 years in prison. They face the punishment for posting images or video online, and for sending them to Masih Alinejad, a U.S.-based activist who founded the White Wednesdays campaign in Iran to oppose the compulsory hijab. The campaign encourages women to post photos of themselves without headscarves. The semi-official Fars news agency quoted the head of the Tehran Revolutionary Court, Musa Ghazanfarabadi, saying, "Those who film themselves or others while removing the hijab and send photos to this woman, will be sentenced to between 1 and 10 years in prison." Wearing the Islamic headscarf is mandatory in public for all women in Iran. Scores of women in Iran have been arrested for removing their headscarves as part of the White Wednesdays campaign. Last year, an Iranian woman was sentenced to 2 years in prison and 18 years probation for removing her headscarf in a protest.
This post received a score of 4,213, with an upvote ratio of 96%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
Not too long ago, PBS aired a 2-part documentary on life in Iran. These women could face real consequences there for standing up for themselves. Not exactly racy or blasphemous activity, but even that was too much for the religious leaders. Unfortunately, the powers that be seem determined to keep the country on a hard-line religious path.
Iran's population is the most educated and progressive-minded in the Middle East by a long shot. Unfortunately, their government is a bunch of theocratic reactionaries. It is kind of like the opposite of Pakistan.
So if the Iranian people are so progressive, why is their government so conservative? What keeps them in power?
Have you ever seen transition of power in the Middle East go smoothly? Basically, before the fall of the Shah, Iran bought a ton of military weapons from the US and Russia to the point of bankrupting the country. Those weapons fell into the hands of religious zealots because in turmoil everyone seeks deeper understanding of suffering through religion, as is almost human nature. The people want freedom, but don't want the period of inevitable suffering and struggle that will come with it. Unless they can guarantee a helping sister country, it can't have both, and the people have witnessed that any sister country in this day and age will milk them for power and profit.
It is important to note that leading up to and during the Iranian Revolution, there were secular, socialist and communist revolutionary groups active. They were all driven underground after the Islamists took power. Part of the reason the US backed the coup against Mossadegh was to curb the influence of the communists. This should be a pretty familiar story. USA actively persecutes secular groups and/or aids Islamists, then is shocked when the ones left on top turn out to be really religious.
Why do they insist on women showing their religion by clothing every day everywhere? But not men?
Because the religion says so.
So sad. Hope those women get free soon.
From what I've seen and heard, they'll probably die under torture and worse.
Unsurprisingly, I see people somehow blaming this on the West somehow.
For everything ever.
That's why I don't like women wearing a hijab in countries where they're free to do as they like. These scarves are a symbol of oppression. Symbols are important. I feel like they're spitting in the faces of these other women who don't have the freedom to not wear them. I live in Indonesia and for the most part it is seen as a fashion statement here. A lot of girls will swap and change between wearing it and not wearing it as their values change. Still though, the best friend I ever had was a devout Muslim Indonesian girl. She's also one of the sweetest, kindest people I have ever known.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.